Welcome back to Disney Journey. I'm standing here in front of the Orange County Convention Center on what is the last day of IAPPA 2025. It's been an amazing show, as they all are. I just a moment ago watched the Jolly Dolly Company give away their prizes. If you want a Jolly Big Dolly, IAPPA is where you come. But there's a lot more to see, and this is the last day, so let's get started.
And the walking path into IAPPA is through one of the two barn doors, which lead directly into the exhibitors hall. And if you know IAPPA, you can kind of gauge things. I've done this for years, and they've changed very much so. This one was very serious, though. I'd been to the post-COVID versions, and it had the feeling that everyone was just happy to be there. This time, it was more a case of, I am here to do business. People were dressed in suits and ties. They were very serious about what they were doing. I saw a lot of old friends and a lot of different people from, well, the UK and the EU, and also the Middle East. Also, it's good to go and walk around IAPPA because they have it arranged in such a way that they group things together, vendors together. And they have in the ride vendor area what I call the murderer's row. If you've ridden a roller coaster or a ride, you've ridden one of the things that these people have done. Oh, I feel like I want to just go get a shopping cart and stroll down the aisle. It's industrial carpet aisle, but you get the point. It was funny walking around here though, because the first day of IAP is just wall to wall bodies. The last day, a lot of people have already left, but that means you get to have conversations, in-depth conversations, such as the one I had with SNS, Sunsei, that acquired the old Arrow company, which goes back to, well, the company that did the work for Walt Disney and Arrow. It's a bit of a convoluted history, but if you look at, there's Arrow that worked on rides for Walt Disney, Disneyland. Then they were connected to SNS out of Utah, who were then acquired by a company in Japan that still exists. And they have a very aggressive ride program. They have a version here on display of a single rail roller coaster. And they presented it here on the floor in two different versions. One of them was pretty stripped down, pretty industrial. But it was interesting and very useful if you love roller coasters to kind of get underneath the chassis and see what they are made of. And quite honestly, that was the thing I was attracted to when I came to IAPPA, to see what was there and how they were going to do it. Interesting, SNS still has a large product catalog, and they are advertising a ride that I think has only been sold once. Right next door or across the row is Vekoma, who I've dealt with quite a few times. I shared with them some photographs I had in their factory taken for Rock and Roller Coaster. And that was 30 years ago. I think I did it myself. It was also fun to experience their, well, it's an interesting new dark ride. It's going to go into SeaWorld here in Florida. And it's kind of a Peter Pan suspended that does pitch and yaw and full rotation. If you're very lucky, you get invited to one of the rooms and maybe grab a little swag. Now, my swag at that point in time was spicy German mustard or Dutch mustard and some cheese. I didn't get a bag, but I had some cheese and mustard, and I got this nifty flag. It's amazing what I think is important as a takeaway from IAPPA. Next door, there was a booth for another vendor that looked very school-like. And just down the road, there's a company that's, well, there's a little bit of controversy about them. They're a Chinese-based company, and I'm going to be going into that when I do the full wrap-up on another Disney Journey video. Because these are meant to be more newsy, and I have to get them out to get them to you for you to watch. But I will be planning and planning now, a longer episode that looks at IAPPA, both past, present, and future. What I learned and what could be learned from them as we start to move into a new cycle of projects and new parks worldwide. Back to the things that have changed, simulators. Simulator screens have now been replaced by VR goggles, and big boxes that you put 40 people in, they've changed. Now it's individual or maybe 2 people per vehicle sort of attractions. It feels like there's a lot of spaghetti against the wall, and it's more something that doesn't really, well, it doesn't really interest me, but maybe I'm not the market. At the same time, a lot of the processor power is equal to what you have on your phone. So maybe there's still a technology here looking for a home. It's hard to say. But again, that's why you come to IAPPA, not just to look at and say, well, this really works, but also to say, whoa, that didn't work at all. There are also companies that are little tiny card, tables with a few brochures, and they've come thousands of miles to be in Orlando. There are also companies that, believe it or not, are still in the bungee jumping business. And there's other forms of simulators which have big widescreen TVs bolted onto what appear to be bumper cars. And of course, there's Intamin. The trade show is huge. And it's hard to believe that it's all done with carpet laid down in concrete. The hundreds of vendors now are gone. As I was walking out, the wrecking crews were already walking in, and plans were already in the works for IAPPA 2026.
That brings this episode of Disney Journey to a close. I'll be on a plane soon, heading back to California, and I'll be sharing with you in the near future videos about all the things that I've learned here. It's been an interesting week, certainly a tiring week, but I got to all the parks and Epic Universe. So watch for new episodes about those topics coming soon. Until next time then, it's goodbye from the Orlando Convention Center and IAPPA 2025.